In Jules Verne's famous novel, Phileas Fogg famously accepted and won a $20,000 bet that he could travel around the world in 80 days. This day, October 2nd, 1900, marks the 28th anniversary of that fateful trip. Each year on this date, 5 old friends meet up in one of the city's oldest and most private clubs to celebrate and pay tribute to that brave, stupid, and ridiculously wealthy man. And what's a better way to do that than by challenging each other to a series of increasingly elaborate and expensive bets each year? This year, in a $1 million winner-takes-all competition, you will each be competing to see which one of you can travel by rail to the most cities in North America. So, yeah, it's basically Rat Race the board game.
It's a race! It's a race! I'm winning! I'm winning! Yeah!
While in the process of covering modern classics like Splendor, Dixit, and Carcassonne, I would be remiss if I did not include this one on that list. Ticket to Ride is a brilliantly simple and satisfying game of claiming train routes across North America. There are currently at least 16 different official maps and versions available for it on the market, and hundreds of homebrew maps that can be downloaded for free on the internet on websites like BoardGameGeek.com. I think Alan R. Moon himself, the designer of the game, put it best when he said the rules are simple enough to write on a train ticket. The tension comes from being forced to balance your own greed. So, like we do every day here at Great Oaks, we're going to teach you how to play. To set up the game, place the mat board in the center of the table. Have each player take a set of 45 train cars of one color and place their matching colored point marker on the scoring track here, beside the first space. As a quick note, each new copy of Ticket to Ride comes with this little bag of extra train cars. Make sure you don't mix these in with the 45 train cars each player should have. Use these as replacements in case you lose some trains. I like to tape mine under the insert until they're needed. This is the Globetrotter bonus card. Remove it from the deck and separate the rest of the cards into 2 decks based on the artwork on their backs. These are the train cards, and these are the tickets. Shuffle the train cards and deal 4 cards to each player face down. This is your hand. You may inspect them now, but be sure to keep them secret from all other players. Place the rest of the train cards near the board and deal 5 face up next to the deck like this. Now, shuffle the ticket deck and deal 3 tickets to each player. Everyone can now inspect their 3 ticket cards and decide which ones they wish to keep. You must keep at least 2 of them, but you can keep all 3 if you'd like. This is an important choice. These cards represent routes that you must build during the game. If you complete them, you will gain the victory points printed here. Your routes can follow any path across the board, but you must be able to trace an uninterrupted line of trains from one city to the other. Though, there is a danger. If you choose to keep the card and can't complete it by the end of the game, you will lose this many points. So, choose wisely. Your goal in this game is to gain as many points as possible, and there are a few ways to do that. You get points every time you place trains on the board. You can complete tickets for additional points, and, on top of that, the player that builds the longest continuous line of trains across the board will gain 10 bonus points. The player who is the most experienced traveler goes first. On your turn, you will choose one of 3 actions to take. You can claim a route, draw train cards, or draw new ticket cards. Once you've taken one action, play will continue around the table with the next player clockwise. A route is a line of colored spaces on the board spanning from one city to an adjacent one. If you want to claim one of these routes on your turn, you must choose one, count the number of spaces in that route, and discard that many matching train cards from your hand. You would then place your trains on that route, and you would immediately score victory points according to this chart at the bottom of the board. For example, if you wish to claim this route, you would need to discard 3 blue trains from your hand, and you would score 4 points. Immediately moving your score token 4 spaces around the board. There is one exception to this, and that's the locomotive card. These cards are wild and can be spent as any of one color. We'll go over this in more detail in just a moment. Some routes have 2 different paths that you can take. In a 2 or 3 player game, only one of these routes can be claimed. You can claim either of the 2 routes, but once one is claimed, the other is inaccessible. Otherwise, in a 4 or 5 player game, both routes are available for the players to claim. If you want more cards, then just take your turn to draw some. When you choose to draw cards for your turn, you can draw a total of 2 cards from the face-down deck or the face-up cards next to it. If you take a face-up card, immediately replace it with a new one from the deck. If there is a face-up locomotive card on the table, and you choose to take that as your first card, you may not take a second card on that turn. Also, face-up locomotive cards can never be taken as your second card. So, for example, Enrico takes this red card as his first card and reveals the locomotive from the top of the deck. He can take any other card or just draw from the top of the deck as his second. However, Nick reminds him that he cannot take the locomotive card as his second card. So, he chooses to draw his second card from the top of the deck instead. He looks pleased. Nick wants that locomotive, so he takes it. He would love to draw a second card, but since he drew the locomotive card as his first one, and he's a bit of a rules lawyer, he cannot draw a second. He ends his turn by replacing the card with a new one from the top of the deck. Vera needs to get to Miami, and she needs red cards to do it. She draws the face-up red card and replaces it with, another red card. She'll take that one too. She again replaces the chosen card, and play continues with Enrico. He sees an opportunity he's not going to sleep on. He's had his eye on that same red route, and since, on his last turn, he drew a locomotive card off the top of the deck, he discards 5 red train cards and 1 locomotive to claim this route for himself. He places his trains on the board, immediately gains 15 victory points, and a bloodthirsty, vengeful glare from Vera, which isn't worth any points, but probably should be. The third action you can take on your turn is to draw new tickets. Just draw 3 new ticket cards from the top of the deck. Examine them and choose at least 1 to keep. You can keep 2, or even all 3 if you wish. They're a great way to get more points at the end of the game, but remember, if you can't complete them, they will lose you points instead. Once you have taken one of the 3 actions, your turn is over, and play moves on with the next player to the left. Play continues like this until one player has 2 or fewer trains left in their reserve. This triggers the end of the game, Each player, including the player who triggered this, gets one more turn. After this, the game is over. At this point, we count victory points. Players should have tracked all of the points that they collected by building routes during the game, but it's never a bad idea to double-check. If you wish to do this, which you wouldn't have to do if everyone followed the rules, check each player's train routes by counting the points they should have earned. Routes with one train are worth 1 point. 2 are worth 2 points. 3 are worth 4 points. 4 are worth 7. 5 are worth 10. And routes of 6 are worth 15 points. Once that's done, each player will reveal their tickets, gain points for each completed ticket, and lose points for each failed ticket. Remember, the points you gain or lose are printed on the bottom left of the cards. Finally, each player counts their longest continuous line of trains. This path can loop through itself or branch off from other paths, but you can never count the same trains in a path twice. Whoever builds the longest line of trains gains the title of Globetrotter and is awarded an additional 10 points. In the case of a tie, each tied player gains 10 points. Once that's all done, whoever has the most points wins the $1 million bet and claims the victory. In the case of a tie, the player with the most completed ticket cards wins. In the unlikely case of another tie, the victory would go to the player with the longest route. And in the astronomically unlikely case that there's still a tie, I guess you guys will just have to donate your winnings to charity. And that's how to play Ticket to Ride. Please comment on this video if you have any questions or feedback, and we will be sure to reply as soon as we're able. If you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to our channel and hit that thumbs up button. Ticket to Ride is one of hundreds of great games you can pick up for up to 30% off retail at greatoakstavern.com/shop. Click the link in the description for more information. Or just stop on by when you're in town and play this and over 500 other awesome games like it at Great Oaks Tavern.